met the Taiwanese president as well. Niranjan is joining us from the Mumbai newsroom. Niranjan, if you can talk to us once again about how significant this visit has been of Nancy Pelosi.
Well, she's come and gone, and nothing really seems to have affected the situation on the ground for Taiwan and for China. There are some new videos. If you're getting my audio, there seems to be some issue with my audio line. I'll just reconnect with you in just about 30 seconds. Abhishek is joining me right now. I think let me go across to Abhishek. Abhishek, if you can speak us through these pictures. She's leaving now. Saber rattling will continue. She's come, she's gone, 18 hours, nothing has changed.
Well, on the face of it, Niranjan, yes, nothing has changed, but knowing Chinese, they can bid their time and then really get back. So obviously the world will have to wait and be on its watch insofar as what the Chinese actions would be on Taiwan. Remember, for example, I'm reading one tweet by Ambassador Deng Xijun, and he's ambassador of China to ASEAN, and he says that Speaker Pelosi's reckless, provocative visit to China's Taiwan region. The visit is a major event upgrading the substantive relations between US and Taiwan and sends a very wrong signal to the Taiwanese independent separatist forces. So forget about the bad English part of it where he's saying that the visit has actually upgrades the US-Taiwan relationship. It does upgrade the US-Taiwan relationship in the sense that this is a senior-most official of the US government visiting in the last 25 years after Speaker Newt Gingrich. This is Nancy Pelosi coming in. So the Chinese see in this a sort of a red flag from the Americans. There was a red line that was drawn by the red regime in Beijing, and that clearly has been overruled by the Americans. So I think for the short term, you would see in the region that the Americans have made a point. The West has made its point that they stand with free world, they stand with democracy, they stand with democratic forces around the world, and Taiwan in many ways represents that. It's the democracy that the West would want China to emulate. But despite that, the fact remains, Niranjan, that when it comes to resources to wage a war, when it comes to the war-fighting machine, when it comes to financial resources to carry that, I think the Chinese have an edge. So it's just about when they decide to really up the ante and turn whatever anger they have shown by way of words, by way of this military muscle flexing, by military exercises, translates into real transgressions and real pushing the envelope on Taiwan. Remember, it's a publicly stated position of China that they would militarily take over Taiwan. It's only a matter of time. I think they're just waiting for the time when military resistance from rest of the world would be minimal, if at all. And the fact that U.S. President Joe Biden in the month of May, just ahead of Quad Summit, said that United States would help or intervene militarily in Taiwan, which was later corrected by the State Department as meaning that U.S. would be militarily standing by Taiwan. What is important is, Niranjan, just my one takeaway, if you are listening, from this entire 18 hours that Nancy Pelosi spent in Taipei, in the press conference that she addressed along with the Taiwanese President Tai Wan, she mentioned the Taiwan Relations Act of the United States of 1979, but she refrained from mentioning the third communique and the three understandings which subsequent Reagan and Nixon administrations had signed with the Chinese. So I think in that sense, some recalibrating is happening in the United States as well. I think they are preparing for a time when the confrontation would be more than symbolic. We have seen over the last 18 hours of Pelosi being in Taiwan, things have been peaceful. As a build-up, there was some saber rattling, but more in the verbal domain than military domain. But as a stage might emerge. Today, for example, the U.S. economy is $20 trillion and the Chinese economy is $15 trillion. Forget about the fact that in purchasing power parity, the Chinese are actually $5 trillion ahead of the United States. But still, it's almost equal size, little less. But another 5 years, down the line, it's likely, the way things are, that the Chinese would be perhaps even in real terms ahead of the Americans in the size of economy and even more in purchasing power parity terms. And then they would really have the resources and the swagger to really push the envelope. And then when a confrontation of this kind happens, we would have a very different picture, or the world would have a different picture. So I think this is more like a preparation for that stage next 5 years. As I said, China can bid its time and wait when the resistance to their action would be minimal. What is important is that for now, at least, America, which is actually the great power, and China, the aspiring power, a confrontation between them has really set the contours where Americans can really still get away by saying that, okay, fine, we looked them in the eye, we made our point, we did not blink, we behaved like a great power, we told them, come on, don't get up and down about this, this is a normal visit. And the Chinese, by all the saber rattling, showed that they are restless, they don't have time, they are going to come back. So I think that's how this has really gone over the last few days, few weeks, and of the last 18 hours. Now in the pictures, Pelosi finishing off the last of the formalities where I believe some Taiwanese government officials want selfies, want pictures, last bit of communication. And then she would be boarding the aircraft and out of the Taiwanese airspace on to South Korea to complete the remaining half of her Indo-Pacific visit to friendly nations. What is important is that it cannot have been just Pelosi's initiative, her call. Obviously, the might of the American establishment was there, and that's why the Chinese also, I think in their prudence, decided, Niranjan, that they will make their point, they will do some muscle flexing, they will send across a message that they are restless, and stop there. Anything more than this, any escalation further than a couple of incursions would have meant that, questions would have been asked of Xi Jinping in the National Congress that's coming up. So, and had he not done all this, then also the questions would have been asked. So, I think it was a bit of a quandary for Xi Jinping. Americans really poking a finger in the eye. When Jinping decides to respond, I think we might have to wait till the time that he clears the clouds insofar as his leadership issue is concerned that has gotten into a bit of a trouble post the COVID pandemic. Otherwise, it was cruising. He was almost sort of certain that he would be president for life. Now, I think he has to get one more lease of life, and then we would see some more response from the Chinese. But for now, I think it has been advantage America with the point it has made of standing by Taiwan. How long this can last, that's something, some more time has to lapse before we understand the implications of this, if you look at it from the Chinese side, waving of red flag that has been done by the Americans to them.
Yes, yes. Abhishek, stay with us. Also, with the visit of Pelosi coming to an end, do you see the exercise, the military exercise as well as the missile test that Taiwan, China intends to carry out will also come to an end?
Samiksha, they can do 10 missile tests. They can shoot 20 missiles in the waters of Taiwan Strait or Indian Ocean beyond. But they can risk really. The Chinese can risk coming out as a large size nutcase Korea. Would they want to do that? That's something which obviously the Chinese leadership has to take a call on. Remember, it's just an 82-year-old woman, a PhD woman who decided that, okay, fine, she has to go and make a foreign trip, foreign assignment, like it happens in most of the democracies, and for the Chinese to react the manner in which they have, had it not been for the economic stakes that they have generated in the rest of the world would have laughed at the kind of gymnastics that the Chinese have indulged in over the last 7-10 days. Verbal gymnastics by way of their spokespersons really haranguing the world community with sermons on how China is being provoked, and otherwise by way of these military demonstrations about which you are talking about. So the interesting bit, Samiksha, for me would be that when this plane flies out, would it be given a path through the air blockade sort of that has been put across
Yes.
by the Chinese in the Taiwan Strait toward their side at least for the next 3-4 days that you were talking about between August 4 and no, in fact, even that does not come into play because that's going to happen tomorrow and
Yes.
Pelosi is just heading out now. So I
Yes.
think she would make her way safely to South Korea, subsequent to which obviously the muscle flexing that the Chinese would do would be aimed at intimidating the Taiwanese only.